our life.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know. Let's see.
A couple people. Okay. Looks like we had a few people, huh?
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
Should we start with the prayer?
Yes.
Okay.
Հանուն հոր եւ որդու եւ ոգին սրբու ամեն իմաստություն հոր Հիսուս դուր մեզ իմաստություն ըսպարիս խորհել եւ խոսել եւ կործել առաջիկո ամենայն ժամ իչար խորհրդոցի բանից եւ կործոց բրգյաս մեզ եւ որ միակ արարածոց եւ մեզ բազմամեղացես ամեն.
Well, good evening again, everybody. Should I start by apologizing for the audio last Sunday?
Oh yes.
So for all of you that follow us on Sunday mornings, we had some severe audio problems that we now have solved. You should be hearing us a lot better this evening. And by Sunday we'll have it all fixed up. Technology, yeah,
I know.
Always a few problems.
I heard it later. I saw it was really noisy in the beginning, but then during my sermon it was better because I was closer to the camera. Maybe that's
It was bad. It was picking up the audio from my laptop, which is over on the side. So that's why we were having a lot of problems.
I see.
And we ended up having to uninstall software after we got home and fix it up. So looks like we're back in business again. So we have a heavy topic, kind of a heavy topic today.
Yeah.
A little bit. This is the second in our series on our path to resurrection. Of course, resurrection being Easter Sunday. And I don't remember what the date for Easter was this year.
April 4th.
4th? Is that?
Yeah.
It's early.
Yes, it's early.
A little bit early,
Yeah.
So on our path to resurrection, our topic today is, who am I?
Who are you?
Who am I?
You're Steve.
I wonder sometimes who I am. I look in the mirror, and when I look in the mirror, I see this kind of older-looking man.
Yeah, but was the time you were young?
But in my head, I'm 30 years old. I don't understand.
Really?
I don't understand who I am.
I can tell that, Steve, because if you're riding a bike like 23 miles, so that's great. You're 28, not 30.
Yeah. I should mention before we get into it that if anybody watching us on Facebook does have any questions, they can post them to the chat on Facebook, and I kind of glance over once in a while on my laptop and take a look at them there.
They can repeat if we don't see it, so we make sure that we got any questions.
Let me check the YouTube too. So we're broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube as we do on Sunday mornings also. So who am I? That's a good question. Sometimes I wonder that, who I am. Who are you?
I'm there. Nice to see you. Yeah, it's interesting question, and as you said, it's a heavy topic because.
What made you think of this question?
Because actually I remember last year when I was at the Fresno Pacific, and I was getting some classes about human identity, about psychology, some topics that were more focusing on individual's life, inner life, and their problems. So I wondered that sometimes people need to think who they are, because it's really interesting that sometimes when we have some children and they start growing up, and we say, oh, you know what, my son, you look like your uncle because you do this, you have this attitude, you have that attitude, or you look like your aunt, my girl, my daughter. So it's interesting that we try to find likeness and similarity, or imitating our kids to someone that is from family member. And when we think about that, it's really interesting that there is higher than this thought, higher than this concept, that we need to think and probe more the idea of who I am.
I think it's a good topic for Lent. It's
Yeah.
a time when we kind of think about these things a little bit to kind of get our lives back in a better path, let me put it that way, during these 40 days.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to kind of do a little introspection in ourselves and kind of decide, where we're going. Why do you think it's important that we can answer that question? Who am I?
Yes, sure. Because unfortunately today, when we look around the world, we see different, perspectives, different ideas, opinions about human identity. And what I was thinking, I was on my way, driving, coming here to the church. I said, every time I try to find, a definition of letter, and I thought, if I will think, what does it mean? Who am I? And I stands for identity. So it's really important to find out our identities. And it's not an identity that we go for, tests and, find out what's my, blood type, or, what I have problem in my health issues. It's not about that. It's about our identity of our spiritual life. And when we talk about my identity, it's important to go back to the creation, because when we go back to the creation, there we find the first question to know who we are. And that could be found, in the Bible. And if you have Bibles in your hands, and if not, you can check later. And if you go to book of Genesis and chapter 1 and verses 26 and 27, there is very important, verses that can answer broadly the question of who am I. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, and he created them. Male and female, he created them. So this is the broad answer of the question that who I am. I am created by the image of God. And it's interesting that if you look in these two verses, we find several times that God, especially Moses, who wrote the Pentateuch, the first 5 books, he mentions 5 times the word image. And that's the first key point that we can think as a human being who we are. We are created by the image of God and thoughts. And then it comes the other questions that we can, figure out, and what does that mean, and how that applies in my life, and, other.
I think, so when, as a human being, when we think of image,
yes,
we think of like a picture.
Yeah.
That's the image, when we say, oh, you look like your uncle,
mm-hmm.
Or you look like your father, generally you're looking at the facial features or the body. I mean, we look at our image,
mm-hmm.
And I think we know, when we look in a mirror, we can see what we look like. Mentally, we probably know what we're thinking about. But the most difficult one, I think, is our spiritual
mm-hmm.
self.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about, our spiritual being, our soul, and how is that in the image of God?
Yes.
When he talks about the image of God, are they talking about the body, or are we talking about something else?
Yeah, sure. It's not about the body, because we know that God, as our Father, Heavenly Father, He is a soul, and He doesn't have any body that we have today. So the meaning of the image in this text, it's all about the spiritual aspect, as you mentioned. And when you mentioned about mirror, so I was thinking that, okay, if I would like to know if I'm looking like my father or mother, I go to the mirror and check and see, my eyes looking like my mom, and my, ears maybe like my dad, because my dad also had big ears, So the thing is, we find in that mirror the likeness of our body. If we would like to find the likeness of our spiritual life from the perspective of God, God's vision. So there is a mirror that we can go there, and that mirror, I would suggest to be our Bible, because if we go to the Bible, That's the only mirror that we can learn who we are and how we need to live and how we need to use our body, how to need to use our eyes and ears, and in the coming topics we're going to talk about that, and that's why I picked those topics like one after another. The first thing to find out what's our identity as a human being. We are created by the image of God, and there is a mirror that we can use. And it's not an object, it's something that gives life-giving, words, and there we can find all the commandments, all the mirror restriction that we can compare ourselves and see if I am living in that, category of life, and I can match with that mirror. If I'm, if I compare myself, if I see myself fitting in that category, that time I can see myself in that mirror as Christian. And when someone says you look like your mother or you look like your father, once I told you, remember I said when you're laughing you look like your father, Steve. So that time people, when they see your deeds, your work, your act, they would say you look like your heavenly Father or you look like Christ. And as Paul the Apostle says, I imitate Jesus and you imitate me. So this is what we are called for, a spiritual life image to look like our Heavenly Father, and that mirror is based on the Bible, and it's all written there. New Testament or Old Testament, whatever book we pick, especially nowadays, I know that our faithful, it's more interesting for them when they read, especially the epistle, the letters, and there we can find a lot of moral, commandments, moral principles that it's a really good mirror for us to look into it and find ourselves if we are really looking like our Creator, our Father, God.
It's a good point. I mean, I guess when we look in the mirror, what we should be looking at is Christ and what He taught us. That's the reflection we should be seeing back. Mm-hmm. So we talked about Christ in the Bible as our role model. A lot of times nowadays, especially kids and stuff, when they look at role models, you see athletes and actors and people, singers on TV and on social media, and a lot of people think, I need to be like that. That's what I want to be like, and that kind of becomes their role model a little bit. How do you answer? How do you?
First of all, I would say that because of today's world environment and pressure, this is why our children are looking for role models that it's more like secular, it's more not spiritual, and here we miss our family teaching moments or sessions that we can find with our children, and try to help them to learn about God's word, to learn about God, and tell them that we are Christians and we live because we are baptized as a Christian. So we have a real role model that will be our and your role model in your life, that's Christ. And I agree, I've had the same experience with my children when they used to play basketball, for example. They would like to be like this basketball player or other one. So it can happen, but the thing is, it's not like something that we need to focus or try to encourage in them. It's better if we try to find times and talk to them about Christian life, about Christian principles, and invite them to be more concentrating and focusing in their inner life and spiritual life, and that will come through time. It's not going to be like when they're 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, or teenager time, which is the most crucial time, and it's really critical when you talk to them. They are more like have more energy to do other things, and it's going to be sometimes acceptable and sometimes refusing. So we need to be careful where we can find the right time to prepare them and invite them to make that the role model of their life being Christ. And that's a task on the shoulders of the parents and the family.
Yeah, I get, it's okay if you ask a 5-year-old, what do you want to be when you grow up, and they say, I want to be a fireman, or I want to be an astronaut or something like that. But as you mature and you get older, and pretty soon you realize that, I need to have the right role models. And you're right, that's where the parents, come in to make sure they guide the children in what is the proper role model. And of course, the place to do that is in the church.
Yes.
You come to church, and that's where you learn about what the role models are.
Through Sunday school, we have Sunday school. We have youth organizations that we have in our church, as you know, ACYO and other organizations that we have created in the church, and we try to nurture our children through that path and inviting them to be Christ-like, to have a Christ-like life.
So I was we talked about singers and athletes and things like that, but as I'm looking over the comments right now,
yes.
Richard's got a good comment here. It says the identity problem in politics.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people like to follow, but you need to come from yourself first, and you need to think about yourself and what your foundation is.
Yes.
And it's not external. It's not somebody else, but it's you, and what's inside you.
Yes.
And that has to be, lined up straight, with your eye on our role model, Christ.
And we'll have some identities that will make us different from others, as you mentioned, as politically, other aspects, or in Christian faith. We have different Christian churches today around the world, but they're all, they have one place, one center that goes to God, that goes to Christ and His redemption, His salvation, and His, forgiveness. So it is going to be some, different, like maybe opinions or ideas, but that will make us, that will not make us actually to be confused, to find out our identity, because today the world is trying to get rid of our human real identity, and that's the the problem today, because we have a lot of pressure, as once we were talking about peer pressure for youth, for children, for students. They go to the school, so there are a lot of pressures around us that make us to be confused and hesitate to make our identity clear. But really, if we would like to know our identity, it is important to go back to the book of God, which is the Bible, and that will become our mirror, so we can make sure that our identity is Christ-like life. And this is it's our calling that we're going to talk next week actually about our calling. I'm not going to go to the details, because that will be another session. But there we need to know that our identity is Christ-like identity. We are created by the image of God, and we are called to apply that image in our life. But as I said, unfortunately today, the secular life, internet, we can find, I was mentioning the other day someone that unfortunately the identity issue, it became also something that common for everyone. For example, if you're going to take a picture and you're using Instagram, and there is a filter option that you change, you change your face. Some people would know that. So if you take that filter and someone else takes with the same filter a picture, you will see like similarity. And where is my identity? Where is my uniqueness? And what is the other? So really, the world is unfortunately because of, I don't know, for a good sake for them, but for as a Christian, it's a bad sake. It's not for a good sake, They're trying to create that common and, just one regular identity that will make everyone the same, but we are not the same. Yeah.
But we're different, especially as Christians.
Yes.
And there could be times when our identity as a Christian could put us in maybe a difficult situation, awkward situation. But to be able to stand up to that, it takes strength in our spiritual being. And that just doesn't happen by accident. Like one day we wake up and the example that I used, I was talking to you earlier, I said, when we want to strengthen our body,
yes,
we exercise.
That's right.
When we want to strengthen our mind, we read, we study. to become intellectually stronger, but spiritually, do we ever think about, well, gee, I need to do something. I just don't become, my spirit doesn't become strong just by accident.
Yes.
You know, what are things that I need to do to strengthen myself so that I am able to stand up when I need to stand up and be strong about it? You know, during this time of Lent is our time when we're in prayer, reading the Bible, you know.
Yeah, and you know, the upcoming, you know, actually topics will be about that, the application more, you know, to find that, you know, identity clear, you know, and especially applied as Christians. But as you mentioned in the beginning of your, you know, talking, that there are sometimes that we feel difficult situation that we are, and you know, it's uncomfortable, and I'm sure that some of you have seen or have experienced in their life when you feel that whatever you're doing, it's about your identity, and because it's Christ-like life, so then you need to, you know, you need to be uncomfortable because people around you would say, why are you doing that? You shouldn't do that. You should do this way, or you should act this way. Why do you reacted that way? So, you know, it came to my mind the very common, you know, and popular statement that we have WWJD, what would Jesus do? So there are sometimes we encourage people. We say, if you have any situation that you have someone who is bothering you, you know, who is hurting you, and we say, just use this sentence, and we say, what would Jesus do? And do the same. And when we decide to go forward with that, you know, statement or with that question, and with answering that, we come up with a conclusion. And when we try to apply that conclusion, there are a lot of people would say, oh, why you did that? You shouldn't do that. You should do this way. Why you should that way? So it's really important to remember ourselves and remind ourselves that there are a lot of, you know, circumstances in our life that we will be uncomfortable, will be criticized, even if we're doing the right thing, if we're trying to, you know, find our identity as a Christian. But that's the right way, and this is why Jesus said in, you know, Matthew chapter 5, people will criticize you, people will, you know, try to bother you, and they're gonna hurt you because they're gonna, you know, crucify me. How about you? You're gonna be more the suffering time in your life, and this is, as you said, this is the time when you will feel, when you know, exercise, you feel that pain in your muscle, you feel pain, you feel sore body, this and that. So when you see those suffering, when you see this, you know, like hurting time, or people like are, you know, fighting with you actually to stop whatever you're doing, that's the, you know, point, or that's the situation you will find out that you are on the right path, and you are, you know, applying your Christian identity, and this is why people are, you know, giving.
That's an interesting analogy. I hadn't thought about that before. That when you exercise, your muscles hurt after you exercise, but that makes you stronger.
Yes.
And when you suffer spiritually, it will make you stronger.
Yes.
Out of that. I've always wondered. I didn't ask you this question, but I've thought about this one before, and I've always wondered about this.
Yeah.
The strength of our spiritual, not just well-being, the strength of us as a people spiritually. You could think of Armenians. Well, I'll pick on Armenians maybe now, because that's the easiest one for us. That when you look back at the time of Christ, and you look at the apostles, they were all crucified, I mean, for their faith and their beliefs. I mean, they had strong beliefs. You look at the time of the Armenians at Vartanants, they went to battle. They died for their faith. Sometimes I wonder now, nowadays, in our society, do we have that same kind of faith? Do we have that same kind of spirituality? You know, we don't ask ourselves to be put into that situation. We're fortunate in the country that we live in, that we don't have to make those choices.
Yeah.
But I always wondered, you know, is that the strength of that spirituality, is it weakening over time? I don't know.
It's really a good question. Is it the internet is good, because I see some.
Yeah,
we're fine. Yeah,
I think we're okay.
Okay. If someone thinks that.
I did pause here a second. Let me give us a second here. Let's see how we're doing.
paused.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me see. No, this one's still going. I don't know if anybody out there in internet land is watching us. No, it looks like we're up and running now.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Folks, yeah, Yedistine says she can hear us.
Okay, that's good.
Good.
Yeah.
As long as she can see us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see. I am pausing on my screen here. I hope it's not affecting our stream going out. That is interesting. You know what? I'm going to take care of one thing.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yeah, let's see. We'll make sure that we're up and running and it goes like smoothly.
I want to make sure everything. Okay.
Oh.
Well, I think we're back on.
Okay. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Aaron's watching. Aaron says it's working.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Aaron Skin. Thank you for watching us. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, because I think it was a really important question, So, this question is really important for, each one of us to think about our faith and if it's weakening or if it's still, strong, or what's the battle that we have today. I would present it in a different way, because in the past we had some other, faith problems, faith temptation, and that was more about, occupying countries or, going and settling some places that you don't own it. So they had some wars, they had some, fighting going around, and they would like to get, this land because it's nice and it's, good growing, food place. So this is why we had a different battle in the past. And this is why also we've seen in the past people who suffered their life for their faith. However, if we look today we don't have any problem with fighting like, as objectly, like something that you're gonna die for it and you're gonna get some land or another piece of land that will make you more powerful or, more rich as, as a government or as a community. So today the battle is different in a way that the battle is more spiritually, and it's more about, technology life, and it's more, modern battle. And that battle is about, I will come back to the identity, about losing our identity. That means that unfortunately there are some times that we lose our identity and we lose our faith because we would like to compromise with someone who is not from my faith. But I try to compromise with someone who doesn't believe in God. I compromise with someone who is an atheist, who doesn't accept what principles I have. So it is different battle that we experience today, and unfortunately it's more coming more than community. It's more individually, because as you know, today we don't have that community life, so it's more individually and through this cell phone. This cell phone is really a huge like a fact or a place that we can have that temptation every day in our life. And this is why I would say and I would suggest that today the battle is different. The battle is something that they're trying, the evil especially trying through human beings to lose our identity as Christians. And we're experiencing that battle today, and it's coming more individually than as a community, and it affects on the church for sure. Yeah,
but it does. Yeah. It is part of the community. You're right. We have to be strong in our identity first.
Yes.
I've always thought that the Armenian community has kind of like a national consciousness. There's something inside of us that says on April 24th, I have to go out to the monument and be together.
Yes.
I need to be there. That I need to be in church. So I've always thought there has been, maybe it's not as strong now, I don't know, a community identity, but that only comes, like you're right, from the strength from the individuals.
Yeah.
Because, if we're not strong individually, we're not going to be strong as a community.
Yeah. And I said our temptation is more coming, individually, and it's not like just as like a nation that we are experiencing a temptation. It's not like that more than, and we're talking about spiritual life. It's not like national life or, about our Armenian identity. We're talking about spiritual identity. It's more individually, and it starts there actually. It starts from our inner life, it starts from our cell phones, it starts from our computer, from our home, and then goes out where, we experience more like temptations or...
Yeah, I'm amazed sometimes when I think back in our history of the faithful, like hermits, and that did nothing but spent their entire lifetimes nothing but prayer,
yes,
and studying. You're just like, oh my gosh, it's hard to imagine that kind of spirituality in the world that we live in today, a very secular world,
yes,
that puts, like you said, pressure on us from the outside, and it really does require us to be strong inside too.
Yes, yeah. That's right. As I said, this is why I tried to choose the topic of who am I the first thing, because if we know that our identity is created by God's image, and we have that ability, and we are called to be in God's image, live our life. And also what I was thinking about our topics, I would like to suggest that every time when we have those questions, because it's a question, obviously, Steve, it needs an answer. So I was thinking that I have to find for you an answer. So if someone asks you, who are you? And if you say like, okay, today we watched with Derhire and Deacon Steve a nice discussion, and the topic was, who am I? And the individual tells you, oh, you know what, so what was the answer? Who are you? So I said, it's good to have an answer for that. So we make sure that every time when we have those questions, there is an answer. It could be, from the Bible, any verse that I will pick, or any statement that will make the answer almost complete. I'm not going to say very complete. You can add to it. You can, take out some, words, whatever you want. But I would like to share today the answer of this question. If someone asks me, who am I would say, and I think Steve is going to have it on the screen so you can watch, and write down. Or if you want, you can comment the same word that will, put it on the screen. So who am I? I am the beloved child of God and His chosen one, even when the world never chooses me. I am blessed even when I am broken, powerful in my weakness. So I would suggest this very concise and short, sentence that will make the person, if someone asks me as a Christian, who are you? I would say, I am the beloved child of God and His chosen one, even when the world never chooses me. I am blessed even when I am broken, powerful in my weakness. And I chose those words because we just talked about the world, about the pressure of the world, and this is why I put the first thing, that I am the chosen of God. And I am chosen because every one of us is chosen of God, and we are chosen to do something in our life, and we have some calling to do that. We're going to talk next week about that topic, and I would like to invite all of you to join us to find out our calling, and to find out what kind of callings we have in our life. And we are chosen by God, each one of us individually, even when the world never chooses us. And it's obvious that it's not going to choose us, because we don't have the same identity that the world offers, and we have the identity of Christ offered, And finally, I am blessed even when I'm broken, because we are broken in our, life. And I'm not saying like broken,
spiritually.
Yeah, spiritually, not physically. So we are broken because we're going to hear a lot of criticism, as I said. We're going to hear a lot of people judging us and saying, you're not doing right, this is the right way, and you're not just in your life, and maybe we are just in our life. And powerful in our weakness, because people would say you are a weak person because you tolerate this individual. You are a weak person because you forgive this individual. And yes, we are forgiving. We are tolerating because we are powerful in our weakness, and that is not a weakness, that's our power that we have from God, and we get it.
See, what I get out of this sentence is, I would have stopped it where it says, I am blessed. You are, period.
Yeah.
Even when, okay, so when you say even when is going beyond, but we have to remember that, even when times are going well for us.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's right.
Even when times are good, sometimes we call on God when we are in despair and we're suffering, but we need to remember that we can call on Him anytime. Even in the good times, we can thank God for what we've got.
Yeah. And when the time comes we are suffering and we have some despair time and temptations, we say, oh, where is God? That's another question that we ask. And it's interesting that as a human being, we have that experience and we always say it, but this is why, we are blessed even when we are broken, because it comes back to the same idea that as we, have pain through our exercise to build our muscle, we're going to have suffering through our spiritual fight, so we can become strengthful, we become powerful, and we become more blessed in our life, so we can continue in our spiritual steps that we're going up and trying to get in a place where God invited us, be holy as your Father in heaven is holy, which is a big task, and it's really hard to accomplish.
Yeah. Well, I know I can see a lot of postings on here, but we're starting to get late. We're trying to keep it down to close to 30 minutes.
Yeah, so that's right. Do you have any questions, any comments that you
would
like to share, or
too much?
Just...
On this particular topic, I'm not seeing anything. Yeah. I see a few things, but nothing particular. Just to let everybody know that what we're doing here is pretty unscripted.
Yes, that's right.
Jahar doesn't know what I'm going to ask generally. I try to scratch down a few notes on different things. So I want to thank everybody for watching out there today.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, every Sunday we're streaming our church service. We're doing the morning services now, so we have new PowerPoint slides with all the translations for our morning services, which is probably a first, but a lot of people probably haven't seen that. So we encourage you to either watch it live stream, or we do have some people coming to church now. We just we ask everybody to social distance and put their masks on.
That's right.
And keep separated in the church. So we've been having a few people coming in, and of course everybody's welcome to come into church on Sunday, or watch us on live stream, Facebook and YouTube. Well, again, thank you, Jahar.
Thank you.
What's our topic next week?
Our topic is, what's our calling?
What's our calling?
Yeah. You have a calling already.
Oh, who's calling? On my cell phone?
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to talk about that. Who's calling on your cell phone? Huh?
Okay, well, I want to thank you, Jahar, and thank everybody for watching.
Thank you
want to offer a prayer?
I will offer a prayer. And before my prayer, I will repeat, the same question and the same answer. So we make sure that you have it, or you wrote it down somewhere. So you make sure to have it this. And if someone asks you what was the discussion, and you say, oh, it was about who am I, and you would have some good answer for them. And as I said, be free to add and be free to take out whatever word you want. But I feel that it's almost complete, but you can add whatever you have an experience from your life, because each one of us, find out themselves and discover themselves through their self-disclosure, who they are and what's their identity as a Christian. So the question, the answer, and then with our closing prayer. Who am I? I am the beloved child of God and His chosen one, even when the world never chooses me. I am blessed even when I am broken, powerful in my weakness. Բաբանյաց մեզ Քրիստոս ասված մեր ընթովանյա սուրբ եւ բադվական խաչիվտ կովի խաղաղության բրգյա հերևելի եւ աներևույթ շամբույն արժանավորյա կողության parավորելս քեզ ընթոր եւ ծպոկվիտ այժմ եմ միշտ եւ ավիդյանս հավիդենից amen. May you all be blessed by the sign of the Holy Cross, and may the Holy Spirit be with you at all time. Amen.